What is up? I need my mic. It was on the other side. It was like, I got to get my head in the game. I don't even have my mic in the game. There we go. What is up, Los Angeles? Welcome back to the Rams Skinny on the LAFB network. We're going to talk midseason awards. We're kind of right in the middle of it and a good spot to do so. We wanted to take some time to, give some flowers out to these players. We spend a lot of time criticizing, as you guys know, but we love this team. We love these players. So we're just going to give out some midseason awards, some ones you guys have heard of before, like MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, things like that. Something you've never even heard of before, like worst preseason hype. But to help me do that, my co-host back with me. It's not a bye week for us. We took yesterday off, but back at it. Aaron Coscarelli, how we doing today?
I love that. You know what? We're just playing by our own rules here. And one of the things that's so funny is when we watch something on TV, we watch a player, we're like, come on, how'd you make that? Like we literally think we could suit up and do a better job. So it's nice. I agree with you. Let's hand out some awards, some flowers, because let's be honest, people, we can't do any of that. Sorry, period, the end. Or as the kids say, full stop. But yeah, I love this. I think it's so fun. We did take yesterday off. We're always working hard to bring the best and most interesting storylines about the Rams to their very loyal and dedicated fan base. And now they're in a really great position. I saw someone post something on Twitter the other day, and I reposted it, just that, they're 5-2, best since their 2021 Super Bowl campaign. They've got 2 picks in the first round next year, some serious, nice, good salary cap situation. And who knows what happens this season. But right now they're looking real good. So.
Yeah. I mean, the award that everybody wants is the Super Bowl. And it seems like they are among the favorites right now. Added Roger McCreary today. We got a whole video up on that trade exclusively. Tutu Atwell hit the injured reserve today, so that's an interesting storyline that we got to do some digging on that one. But before we get into these awards, let's talk about our sponsor all year long, Sleeper Fantasy. I hope you're not tired of me talking about it, but you got to sign up. If you sign up enough, we'll just cancel the deal. And if you guys sign up, but use code Rams LAFB to get dollar on dollar match up to $100 from Sleeper. Not only are they going to give you $100, but if you sign up now, you get free $20 entry. I really got to get my head in the game. Wow, I shouldn't have taken yesterday off. Sleeper Fantasy is just giving out money basically. And what are you going to do with all that money? Well, you're going to use it to play their daily fantasy, 2 to 8 players, any sport. They're all rolling right now. Got the Dodgers game coming up tonight. Got some Kings action. Got some Lakers action. And, of course, you got your Rammies. So there's always a lot of fun to be had playing that. And they're just giving away free money. So go use that code, Rams LAFB, one word, from Sleeper Fantasy, the fastest growing daily fantasy site out there. Get on it now. All right. So let's jump right into this. Let's start at the top. We're going to go in the opposite order of all the other award shows. We're going to start with MVP. Who is your Rams MVP in the middle of the season so far?
There's a lot of ways we can slice this, right? Because we're gonna. But I think for me, the obvious one is, and I've talked to you about it so many times, which is Matthew Stafford, right? Like he's slinging it. He's showing the stats. He's making things work. He's resilient. When he doesn't have Puka, he throws it to Davante. He adapts to the situation. He wasn't available the entirety of training camp. It's not like the guy's, in his prime. He's 37 years old, but he's been doing it for a minute. So it's fair to say for me, the reason why they're rolling 5-2, just out of the bye has a lot to do with the guy leading the charge on offense. And I'm going to give my MVP award to Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, it's the obvious one. I mean, he's not in his prime, but he's playing like he's in his prime still. It's amazing to see what he is doing this year, especially coming off that, weird off season, the back talk, all of that. He's just balling out. And I didn't pick him as my MVP just because I have to zag. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't play by the rules. But yeah, I mean, you look at his pressure statistics this year when he's blitzed, he's been lights out.
Yeah.
And we've learned it a couple of times now. 2 games against the Vikings and then this Jags game, which is mind-boggling that they were even blitzing him, but he just knows how to pick apart the blitz, and that's something you can't really teach. You just learn that as you become an old man quarterback, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. It's great compared to maybe some of the expectations heading in, where it's like, is he going to be able to throw the ball? Is he going to feel good every week? Is he going to be able to be out there? No problem so far. You actually had a fantastic video on Instagram that I saw a couple of days ago about Stafford being number 5 in the MVP ranking for the Bet Online or FanDuel or something like that. So yeah, can you rattle off any of those stats? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, and it's great is if you go check it out, Kelly Stafford. Kelly Stafford got in on the mix because one of the things that I had said is not a joke, but it is true. He's a no-look sensei. That's the other thing that he does. He finds the ability to adapt to any type of adversity, much like obviously his head coach, where if he needs to throw it in a tight window, get it to Puka, or even his long ball, it's like he's just a perfect pocket passer where, like you said, he evades the pressure. I want to say, was it 18 touchdowns to 2 interceptions? And at the time, I think he was leading the league in that stat. And, just the fact that he didn't have a lot of time to get acquainted with young guys. And then, throwing it to Davante Adams, 3 scores and 2 rookies, and adapting to 13 personnel, something that obviously McVay has been wanting to do, but hadn't done it for the previous 4 seasons. I want to say he did it 40%. They did it 40% of the time. To me, just speaks volumes about how important Stafford is obviously to the cohesion of that offense, whether his number 1 guy is in it or not. My question for you is, who's your MVP, since you don't like to play by the rules? We clearly know.
I went with Puka Nacua. And, obviously the quarterback is always going to be the most important player on the team. But, I mean, it's hard to argue that Nacua isn't the second most important player on this team. I mean, when he was healthy, just on pace to destroy all sorts of records, including Calvin Johnson's. Single season yardage, which is just amazing. And he's been doing it year after year. So when he's healthy, he is integral to this offense. And now you bring up this big change in the offense, moving drastically to a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. Well, they had to without Puka Nacua doing all of the stuff that he does, because he's not just a pass catcher, he's a blocker as well. And a spectacular one in addition to that. With Cooper Kupp coming off the team, he's moving into a more of a leadership role. And I don't think that's something that comes exactly naturally to him. I don't think he just wants to seize it, but he's stepping into that role for the Rams this year, and really becoming a true leader on this team as well. So becoming even more important. And he's going to be a part of this transition at some point in the next 1 or 2 years, when Stafford leaves the team and a young quarterback maybe comes in. He's going to be the elder statesman at the time. He's going to be the one that knows the offense the best. So truly the most valuable player to me this year, with Stafford taking the honors of Offensive Player of the Year. Just because, why does MVP have to be a quarterback all the time? That's all I'm saying.
It shouldn't be.
Anyway, who's your Offensive Player of the Year?
Well, it sounds like we've switched roles here because my offensive player of the year, and just in terms of that position, before his injury, of course, he was on pace for a 2,000 yard receiving season in terms of receiving yards. And, I guess we could go back to who was the one that has the closest to 2,000 yards. And I want to say it's Megatron. And then under Megatron, it's Cooper Kupp, which again, who's the common denominator in that? Matthew Stafford. But picking up what he's putting down, it just seems like Puka Nacua, like you can't imagine him getting better. And yet he makes diabolical plays that you're like, I can't even. And not only that, it's not even just in the passing game. He's amazing as a blocker. He's gone through a challenging season personally, by all accounts, without getting too much into the detail with regards to that. And he's just really managed to mature, step up. And when he is in the game, he is a scary guy to contend with. So for me, at the wide receiver position, offensive player of the year, there's no guy that is making such an impact in the offense to me than Puka Nacua, obviously.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about these two guys. There's
they're interchangeable.
There's the stats, and then there's the game stuff, and it's just we can continue to talk about them and just to say how great they are. But I think the pressure statistics for Stafford, and then just what Nacua does for the offense week in and week out, it's you could pick and choose. So for defensive player of the year, I went with Byron Young, because I can't go with the obvious choice. But he's got 9 sacks. He's racked up 9 sacks this year.
Yeah.
The defensive line is terrifying, and every offense heading going forward has to contend with 4 or 5 guys that can really get after the quarterback, and Byron Young is just the one that's making the most impact right now, halfway through the season. So I went with Byron Young. What about you?
Okay, so we're going with, what are we going with? Defensive
player of the year of the mid-year.
Well, let's see. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't do defensive player of the year. Okay. What I ended up doing was, and this is kind of interchangeable as well, but biggest surprise, I'm going to say defensive line. While we knew this team had the makings of quote unquote replacing Aaron Donald and being a defensive unit that had the potential, I think based off of what we saw last year, they had the potential to build on that. But with what they're doing, with getting in, like Nate Landman, figuring out how to pressure the quarterback at one of the highest rates in the NFL, with the youth that they have on that side alone. Jared Verse has 42 pressures, Byron Young right behind him with 34, and Kobe Turner 28. Together, that's, I think, 20 sacks, which is the second most in the league, considering they had a bye this week. To me, the biggest surprise is how well that young defensive line continues to make an impact in each game. And then, of course, obviously the offense capitalizing on it. Defensive line for me is it's hard to say it's a surprise, but it's a pleasant surprise based off of what we saw last year, and based off of I would say, underestimating how this team could come back without an Aaron Donald, So biggest surprise or best defensive player of the year, I'm going with this unit of the defensive line.
It's a great way to think about it too. Honestly, it's hard to do it as an individual award. So I think you're right in saying that. And, we came into this year saying, if this defense could be middle of the pack, they were going to have a really, really fantastic chance to get going a deep run in the playoffs. They're doing better than that. So, the defense on a whole is surprising. as much as we saw kind of some seeds of the dominant defensive line, it is surprising how dominant they really have become. You know, probably, I mean, you got to put them in the top 1, 2, 3 of the league
Yeah.
at that position. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt
I was going to say, where would you rank them? Would you give them the title of best in the NFL or not yet? You still need to kind of see some more.
Well, there's just a lot of really good units out. I mean, the Browns and Houston and Seattle, you know, they're in there, you know, and the Browns are paying Myles Garrett a boatload of money. You know, Houston's going to get more expensive. I mean, the Rams are going to get more expensive at some point, which is something that's always in the back of my mind. But yeah, it's got to be right up there. And this actually transitions nicely to my next award, which is Coach of the Year, Chris Shula.
Yeah.
Now, of course,
yeah.
it always goes to a head coach in the real world, but this is just the Rams, and there's only one head coach, and I don't want to name Sean McVay because I haven't been happy with him for all 8 weeks. But my big question about Chris Shula was going to be, you know, what's his identity? Who is he as a defensive mind, as you know, a scheme perspective? You know, Fig Fangio's defense is very famous. Mike McDonald in Seattle is doing his own thing, that, you know, kind of from that Jesse Minter Ravens tree, that area. So that was the question, you know, what is he? And, you know, I don't have a great handle on it, but the way he's employing the defensive line, moving them around constantly. We had Jared Verse over the A gap, you know, flying over a center to disrupt a play. You know, the stunts and the twists and the when he chooses to blitz and when he doesn't, the early down blitz rate is pretty interesting statistic to see. And then just what they've done from a personnel perspective behind that defensive line. Obviously, it doesn't make all of the personnel decisions, but, you know, the secondary is holding together a lot better than they proved the linebacking room. And the defense has been driving this team. The offense has been trying to keep up. And that's not what I anticipated heading into this year. So Chris Shula, Coach of the Year for the Rams for me.
Yeah, he definitely deserving, you know, going on the stats, ESPN stats. I don't know if you're surprised to learn this, but behind Houston, the Rams are second in points allowed at 16.7, right? So what it feels like Chris Shula has done, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, is like in part of, you know, bend, don't break. I feel like he is so smart. And, you know, it's only a matter of time between him and the offensive coordinator that are going to get, you know, unfortunately, taken away from McVay's coaching staff yet again, because he, just like you said, he deserves it, based off of the hole that was left by Aaron Donald last year. He, you know, was appointed the defensive coordinator. He got a promotion last year. So it was like a new position for him. And I think one of the things that Chris Shula is very good at, which the entirety of that young Rams coaching tree in LA does a very good job. They're clever. They're smart. You know, and that's why it leans into my Coach of the Year, which I talk about Sean McVay way too much. So I'm going to Mike LaFleur, who I feel like is also going to get picked up as an NFL head coach should he want to leave shortly. Just because, again, I know McVay leads the way, but, you know, he had his offensive coordinator call some plays. Obviously, in the preseason, he was doing a lot of that. And I think it's a team effort. And what they ended up doing, how they navigated the complexity of the last 2 weeks, you know, going to Baltimore, then staying in Baltimore, having to draw up a new offensive identity without Puka Nacua, and, you know, virtually throwing the ball around to 10 different receivers, and Matthew Stafford being anointed with the most touchdowns in one international game at 5, just really speaks to what Coach Mike LaFleur is doing as an offensive coordinator. And it's not like they don't have a ton of firepower. But remember, last year the issue was their offensive line and what's going on with Blake Corum. So to me, I think taking the things that you could work on and figuring out how to fine tune them, the Rams offensive coordinator has done a really good job of that this year. So. And they have the third best passing offense. Sorry, I was looking at it. And then once you started talking Shula, I took it off. They have, behind the Cowboys and the Niners, their offense is third best in terms of passing offense per game. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, something to build on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a great call out. And he doesn't get enough credit because he is behind Sean McVay, who is the play caller. And, but they obviously get a lot of jobs, so they're not completely under the radar, but I think they get enough of the media attention. All of the guys that have served as Rams offensive coordinator, including LaFleur, and what he's done with the running game in his short time here has been revolutionary for the team. And, even just the idea that at training camp, I don't remember seeing them roll out any 13 personnel. We saw some 12, but no 13, to just keep that under wraps, pull it out and the offense looked great. And that's a lot of coaching. Those guys knew what they had to do. And that's on the coaches to communicate that. And a lot of that falls on LaFleur. So yeah, it's great. What's your next award?
Let's see. Oh, well, I'm going with most improved here because I think you can take a look at what they didn't do well last year and what we saw this year. And this kind of almost has a little bit of an asterisk, but I will say their run defense has certainly improved. And we'll just talk about that week 3 game. And I know it's kind of hard to talk about because, they ended up shutting down Saquon Barkley 46 yards, rendering him virtually useless in the run game. But then, we can't really say that without talking about what their passing game did to the Rams defense in Philadelphia. But I think heading into week 3, that was the big point of contention, was how are they going to slow down Saquon Barkley? They're leading the league in defensive EPA, 4th in overall efficiency. And they've done a very good job at shutting down the explosive runs, right? So to me, I would say if I'm going to give an award of most improved, I think one of the big things that you can, clap your hands for is that was an eyesore last year, and they managed to figure out how to shut down the most threatening runner in the NFL, which was Saquon Barkley. So,
yeah. I mean, that was the bane of our existence last year. I mean, they just could not stop it, and especially Saquon Barkley in those 2 games. That was just embarrassing, to be frank. And I'm glad they brought in Puka Nacua to help smooth that out and whatnot. So, I mean, again, the defense leading the way, leading this team. It's incredible. It's incredible to see. My next one, I don't have that category, but I'm going to call it the biggest stunner award. I didn't see this coming. I was very skeptical on this guy. I was not fair to him, but Nate Landman has been a revelation on this team. Just from the impact plays, the big impact plays, week 1, Houston Texans, forced fumble, saves the game. They were running the ball really effectively in that game, and he made them pay at near the goal line on that drive, punched that out. 17. Now he's the Rams leading tackler, single game tackler, 17 tackles in one game. That's the record for the Rams now. Pretty good in coverage, solid tackler. Among starting linebackers, he is between Bobby Wagner and the guy on Philadelphia. They just drafted him. I forgot his name just now. That first round pick. He's in between them in terms of missed tackles, compared to Roseboom last year had 13 missed tackles, and he's only got 2 so far this year. So huge improvement there. I'm glad to be stunned by him. I'm glad he's playing so well. He's got 1.5 sacks, a couple of pressures. So he's doing a lot for this team. So I'm huge relief that they seem to have some stability at the position for at least 1 year. They only have him on a 1-year contract. So we'll see what happens with these defensive contracts at the end of the year. So we'll see if he's back. I imagine they're pretty impressed with him so far, but my biggest stunner for sure.
We should do an episode where we talk contracts, right? Because I think you're right. We're going to have to pay some guys. And why not speculate what that could look like? I think people at home are always sort of wondering, at what time do guys need to get paid, right? Like obviously they gave Kyren that big contract at training camp. I remember at the Cowboys training camp. And how will things shake out? So maybe in a few weeks we should do that, because I agree with you, Nate Landman. And again, it just it goes to how great the Rams are at evaluating talent and trying to get people in without overpaying, and finding the pieces to fit in the puzzle that actually works. And you're right. I think there was a lot of skepticism about Nate Landman, and he's come in. I mean, he got the Tom Brady LFG award of the week. I can't remember who they were playing, but he's just a humble guy and grassroots, and he's done a very good job at commanding the defense and being named a captain this year. So certainly deserving of, what was the award called that you decided to call it? Biggest surprise?
Biggest stunner.
Biggest stunner. See, we're just throwing out names here. This is called the Ryan and Aaron Show, and we're going to call these awards whatever we want them to be. Okay, so I said most improved run defense. Oh, needs some work. All right, look, I think we can all agree one of the biggest things, aside from the secondary, which they got some depth like we talked about today, special teams. Special teams is, for me, something that I think Sean McVay is still kind of like, we got to really, if we're getting burned on some of these special team opportunities, whether it's a Josh Carty missed field goal or a blocked punt, a blocked kick, either way, an easy mistake to remedy. But the Rams have seemed to be snake bitten, a handful of times in both of those games that they should have won were, due to some special teams missed opportunities, right? With the Eagles and the Niners. So needs a little work. And I think we can circle special teams as a focus moving forward. Ryan?
Yeah, well, I think that would be a big stunner award as well, as what Cardi has gone through this year. And I was listening to Jordan Rodriguez joined the Athletic Football Show with Robert Mays and Mike Sando. All three of those people are some of the brightest minds in football right now. So definitely check this episode out. But it was all about the special teams changes. And she was talking specifically about Cardi and those knuckleball kicks.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They had a whole section on how the motion of the leg, they practice, they try to, obviously be consistent and perfect with it every time. And they were saying they agree with you that it has had an effect on his emotion and whatnot. But really interesting with the K balls and the different rules around that. It's a great episode. Definitely check that out after you listen to the Rams skinny, of course. My next one is the worst preseason hype by your guy. I was hyping up this guy. I was so excited, and I was convinced it was going to happen for him. Jarquez Hunter has not seen the field whatsoever as a rookie running back on this team, which is not unusual, but very surprising. I thought, from what I saw in the pass protection drills, I thought he had an edge over Blake Corum for getting on the field. I felt like Blake Corum had a lot to catch up on in that realm. And I thought he would just add a bigger punch and a more explosive element to the running game that is sorely lacking in Kyren's game. Kyren doesn't have that. Now Blake Corum has proved to have improved his pass blocking, and he's also proved to have an extra, maybe let's call it 20% more explosion, which has gashed a couple of teams a couple of times. I would love to see the Rams improve their running game more so. And it's always that question about the McVay doghouse, the McVay, I don't know, plan of attack. I was trying to think of, what is he? I never know. I can never tell what's keeping some of these guys off the field. And if we think back to last year in Blake's rookie year, he barely touched grass in that season. So worst preseason hype from Ryan Anderson, Skinny T was Jarquez Hunter. Do you have any more words?
That's a good one, because I think a lot of people had high expectations, like you said, based on what explosiveness maybe Kyren lacked. They were hoping we would get in a Jarquez, but you made a really good point. We didn't see a lot of action from Blake Corum. Took him a minute to, see some time on the football field. And maybe that's what's happening. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see him on the field, see what he can do. I'm sure he's frustrated. But what I will say, since I'll parlay after your rookie not of the year, I just decided, why don't we give it to Terrence Ferguson, who obviously, was a slow start for him, but he's showing how he's making his presence known by when he does get involved in the offense. He delivers, right? He came off get his first NFL touchdown in London against the Jags. And I think what's interesting is now with Puka, coming back, how will that offense look? Since, without Puka, they threw the ball to 10 different receivers, and Terrence Ferguson got in some good game action. So he's getting my rookie of the year. I guess he's kind of the safest only option there, but I do like what we're seeing out of him. And again, I think what the potential of what we saw without Puka and moving the ball forward with all that tight end action, this offense could be very scary, Ryan.
Well, it should be. I mean, by all accounts, it absolutely should be. Terrence Ferguson is an interesting one, and I think some of today's news might actually work in his benefit about getting on the field more. And it's kind of weird to say this, but Tutu Atwell is supposed to be the vertical element in the offense. As good as Puka is, he's not a vertical guy. Davante is more of a quick off of the first step off the line. But Terrence Ferguson has vertical ability. Now he's not as fast as Tutu, obviously, and he's going to be playing on the inside going along the seam. So with Tutu Atwell hitting IR, that might be the door that opens, because they're going to have to, now you're stuck with, I shouldn't say stuck with, but Jordan Whittington is now your third receiver. Mm. And, some mistakes from him recently, lots of promise, good blocker. He's the quintessential kind of Rams guy. But I think, that's where Terrence Ferguson is going to be able to get onto the field some more, I think. So I like that. And I expected more from him as well. But it takes a long time to get on the field when you are a rookie tight end. And I noticed that you did a rookie of the year. And so I felt like I had to do a rookie of the year. And I went with Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. He wears number 10 on the defense, and it drives me crazy. I hate seeing that number over there for some reason. I don't know if it's a Cooper Kupp thing or if it's just that's not a number that belongs on the defensive line. But as a rookie, got off to kind of a slow start, not a lot of playing time, but he's earned more and more as we've gone along. And he's got some action out there. 11 pressures, 2 sacks, and just another guy that can be rotated in and out, so that Jared Verse doesn't have to be out there for, every snap of the game. And Byron Young, they can rotate it a little bit. That was a big question heading into this year is, okay, you got these 2 guys, but they can't play every down. So it's nice to see that they got something there. My last award, I'm going to call it the comeback player of the year. And it's not even a player. It's just a body part. Matthew Stafford's back. Matthew Stafford's back has not been an issue whatsoever. And it's probably the biggest relief across football.
So good.
So here you go. Matthew Stafford's back. You're holding up real well, even though Stafford's still getting hit at a very high rate. The pass protection has not been stellar through the season. Havenstein's been out. I think Dotson's been banged up. Avila has been out. So, a lot of rotation there against their will. But, all off season, go look at our previous shows heading into the year. Every show we talked about Stafford's back. Is he going to be able to hold up? And as a midseason award, you've done a good job.
It's the comeback season of the award of the season. I love it because I agree. It should have its own Instagram handle at this point because of how much hype it got. And yeah, somehow I guess maybe we could do my comeback player of the year could go to Reggie Scott, who is the sports medicine doctor for the Rams, who's very dialed in and make sure his guys are taken care of. But yeah, Matthew Stafford's back, deserves an Instagram handle and an award because it's held up. Fingers crossed and knock on wood. Let's hope it maintains.
Yeah, I like to tell fans, go look at pictures of Reggie Scott. Memorize his face, memorize what he looks like. And then when you see him on the sidelines talking to a player, just make a mental note of that and be like, okay, he's got. I mean, all these guys are hurt at some level already this year. So, but when you see Reggie Scott out there, he's a good looking guy, nice bald head. But just pay attention. That's an insider tip right there.
There you go.
Pro tip. So that's it. I should ask, do you have anything else?
I'm done. I'm done. Right. I feel real good about this episode. And I say we keep this trend going and we do more of these shows, but maybe have people tell us who they think their midseason award should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there somebody we did not recognize? Is there somebody that we recognized too much, gave too much credit to? But you guys have been great lately. We have our viewership has been through the roof lately. So I appreciate you guys locking in with us throughout this season. Stick with us. We're going to be trying to do more video content, actually, maybe daily, at least five episodes, mini series and whatnot. So keep it tuned. And if you're not yet, subscribe. Then you'll be aware of every time we drop an episode. We'll have the live shows as well after every game, before and after every game. So get on those. And we have a good time. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Rams Skinny. Talk to you next time.